Hello everyone. Today, we're tackling a common C# error. It's about mixing 32-bit and 64-bit processes. We'll explore why this happens and how to solve it. This issue arises when a 32-bit application tries to interact with a 64-bit application or DLL. Let's dive in. First, understand the problem. A 32-bit process runs in a 32-bit memory space. A 64-bit process runs in a 64-bit memory space. They can't directly share memory or load each other's libraries. This incompatibility triggers the 32-bit processes cannot access modules of a 64-bit process exception. Now, let's look at the reasons behind this. One main cause is the architecture mismatch in your project settings. If your main application is compiled as 32-bit, it can't load 64-bit DLLs. Another reason can be external processes you're launching. If you're using Proces, start to launch another application, ensure that application's architecture matches your calling process. To solve this, you can try several approaches. Number 1, check your project's build settings. In Visual Studio, go to Project Properties-Build. Look for the Platform Targets setting. If it's set to x86, your application is compiling as 32-bit. Change it to x64 to compile as 64-bit. If you need to support both architectures, choose any CPU. However, using any CPU requires careful handling as it will run as 32-bit on 32-bit systems and 64-bit on 64-bit systems. Number 2, use separate processes with IPC, inter-process communication. Instead of directly loading a 64-bit DLL into your 32-bit process, create a separate 64-bit process. Communicate between the processes using techniques like named pipes, TCP sockets, or WCF. This approach allows the 32-bit and 64-bit processes to operate independently. Number 3, consider conditional compilation. You can use preprocessor directives like #if and #else to compile different code blocks based on the architecture. This is helpful when using any CPU and you have parts of your code that need to behave differently based on whether they are running in 32-bit or 64-bit mode. For example, you might load different DLLs depending on the architecture. Remember to thoroughly test your application after making these changes. Make sure it works correctly on both 32-bit and 64-bit systems if you're targeting any CPU. If you are invoking an external process, verify that the architecture of the external process matches your application's architecture, or use IPC as discussed before. By understanding the root cause and implementing these solutions, you can resolve the 32-bit processes cannot access modules of a 64-bit process exception and ensure your C# applications run smoothly. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us create more content. Consider becoming a channel member or donating to keep the channel growing. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos.